how how security actually is going to get laid down. I've mentioned that before. I don't want to interject a whole bunch of stuff there, but it's important to think about in the long run.
What actually caused the hack? Do you know?
Well, it's somebody, so they had a bad actor on a third party firm. I posted, what did I post in Discord? Yeah, it says you're receiving this because customer IO. So that's whoever they were using as a third party. They had somebody that literally stole email addresses. So now, if you happen to be on OpenSea and you get something with your wallet saying to sign in, don't do it. At least that's what they were saying. So, but not necessarily germane to exactly what you're doing, but something to think about in the sense of like, what are you going to do to really make sure that people trust your system, right? And it's not even in this case, it wasn't even OpenSea, it was a third party. And where are you running something? How does it get set up? Particularly API security then becomes a real trick. So you've mentioned Artem, the API. I'm just getting to see it this week, where I found the most holes in apps beyond Web3 is API level interactions. And I get to work across state and local systems, a lot of benefit systems. And there's been a few incidents where we're seeing a lot of data that comes across on the API that can filters out on the front end. Bad way to do it, right? So you want to make sure that all the data in your API is just stuff that you need to see and no more, right? So just something to think about. Again, I'd realize that's not maybe exactly where you were going today, but it was, given the news, I figured I'd just bring it up.
Yeah.
Did you get it working?
Yeah, I was installing the packages right now. npm.
I can probably share my screen now.
Sure.
I'll share it. Yeah, so this is like a sample profile that I have right now. We're going to use, I think Artem mentioned Axios. We're going to use to get the user information, like their name, like their major and stuff like that. And then this is like a simple post thing we have. We haven't really connected it to the smart contract yet, but Artem and Ed are working on that. So we probably should have that by the end of next week or maybe early next week.
Yeah, so the thing is that, again, like at the end of the day, we're all students. And as I realized, a lot of students had a lack of some fundamental knowledge on front end, maybe, and back end. So it's really important to like learn that, take this project as an opportunity to learn at first. And for instance, like Steven, he's now working on the post. Yeah, on the profile page, it may seem ugly, but once we have the design, it would be really easy to put it up.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, you don't have to keep the CSS stuff. And I've done, I would say, coming from many years working in development on most sides, the thing I'm the worst at is the front end. And so as long as you get that data channel and the security together, anybody can come in and overlay some nice CSS on this, especially with some of the nice designer tools and things that are out there today. So I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, I think it's great to keep things simple when you're in this mode, just so you don't have a lot of extra things you're trying to tumble through, particularly on the front end, because that's where I've seen a lot of folks, and particularly when it gets into security, where people get messed up. So I do have a question about the LinkedIn and Instagram. Are you guys going to do an integration where like you do an OAuth allow, something like you could do with a Twitter app, or because I've done that with LinkedIn. I'm just curious if that's where you're going or if that's too advanced.
I was gonna say this card does not really reflect on what we would have eventually, but the idea would be we have the design made only this week. Like yesterday, Bella delivered the API design, so Steven only like started working on integrating that to the, and apparently like Steven learning on the Axios library that is used in React to connect to the APIs. So it's kind of taken some time because we're not really professionals, and we will be integrating the user information first, And in future, we potentially going to integrate the like the user would be able to click on the verification link, so like LinkedIn, then would be prompted to log in, and once the login has been completed, we'd be able to verify that this user indeed has an access and this profile indeed belongs to that user, and we would post that as a supplemental link by like verified user you can outreach, so that people would not just include their profile link to a LinkedIn profile that they don't actually belong to or something like that. But that's in more like a long-term development. Right now, we are focusing on like laying out the information that we have on the database so far.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Artem. I like literally 5 minutes ago, I kind of finished designing the profile page. I'd be happy to show it unless you want to wait to see it upon being coded, but
No.
I can share my screen and show that.
Sure.
So like there's a better idea of like what we're leaning towards. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. Like this is was a general idea where you have like this, like the admin and the view profile, and you have your join date. We kind of liked that. I made a logo. I don't know why it's kind of glitching like that right now, but that's like a very tentative logo. I'm an econ major and a math major. Like I am no design expert, and it's funny that I am the design person here, but like if anybody has any like alterations, like obviously, or dimension issues, like obviously I'm happy to change that or whatever. We have like profile activities, settings. Well, we're on the profile right now. Settings, my preferences, and sign out like as of now. And then I kind of just did this because I thought that would be sweet being like, oh, Lehigh, and then class of 2024, and then Bachelor of Arts in Economics or like whatever you're studying. And then these are your own posts. And I made like a most popular, most recent, and like oldest to newest. Kind of like these are like your posts. So like it's your profile. Kind of had that as an idea of what to do. And then down here we have our logo and like this. This is a
And what's the and Samantha, what's the attraction for somebody to want to doing this thing? What's the catch?
the catch of joining the website.
Yeah. Why do you want bother with this?
This is the Lehigh. This is the way that alumni will be able to communicate with students in a less formal way and contribute to the Lehigh experience without donating money.
I like that idea. Yes.
Yeah, this was how did I put it during our meeting? It was a way to contribute to Lehigh without donating your money or putting your name on a bench or a building somewhere.
Because you know what? This is a good point, because most of the time, the university as a whole, which include the students, will go after.
You can donate money, but not a lot of ways you can actually still be a part of the Lehigh experience, other than maybe coming to a football game. And that's the catch for this website is rather than, or like for the other catch that Lehigh tries to sell us is Handshake and Lehigh Connects, but nobody really uses that until they're a senior or junior and they're kind of forced to use it. Usually with their professor metaphorically over their shoulder. This is our attempt to try to get people involved in a more active and fun way, like showing up to a football game and seeing all your old friends, or seeing your a cappella group perform at whatever, or coming to your alumni soccer club game. Like there's more to it than just those special events that a lot of people, that you said yourself, a lot of people are interested in partaking in. And that's the catch. Anyway, there's that's
Okay.
that's
Thank you,
one-
Chairman.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie, I just shared the slide that is basically, am I on mute still? Can you guys hear
Yeah,
me?
you're good. You're good.
Okay, good. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, you're describing collectives and what value is. And so part of that whole thing that isn't tokenization, I probably did, if I've said this many times to you guys, but it's not about money, right? It's not about crypto. It's about that value. So you're really creating what is like the next gen Web3 environment. And just part of that, and this extends into what Professor Zora just said, like the interactions between the students and or affiliates of people that are in these larger collectives becomes really important. I just connected with some folks that are doing a very large project in Philadelphia in Chinatown from a health perspective, right? And so they're like, hey, we want to reach out to the community. We want to reach out. And I'm like, hey, I'm working with Lehigh. They're like, oh, we'd love to chat with them, right? So it's that kind of thing that then you bring out. Right now, you're focused on the alumni, but imagine you can focus on business and extend that even further. So anyway, you're directly in line with collectives. I'll just tell you
Can
that.
you, if Artem wants to takes this somewhere else, if you want to keep talking about collectives, I'm interested at least, unless the conversation wants to go somewhere else. Like, I mean, talking about the architecture and the foundation of how Web3 and blockchain effectively builds collectives better than what we're doing right now on Facebook and Reddit and stuff.
Yeah, I'll just show you this.
Did
I
you
want
ask
to.
me a question or what? I don't understand. Was it a question to me?
Oh, I was just saying if you want to learn about this too, like I unless you already know,
No, it's a question to Ted. It was a question to Ted.
Yeah, it was a question to Ted, and I was just saying, are you interested as well?
Were you curious if I'm interested in that? Okay, understand.
Yeah, and so actually, Jamie, I think this applies. And who was sharing the app previously? So there's the Web 2 experience and then the Web 3 with custodial and non-custodial. Non-custodial is your MetaMask wallet, right? Custodial would be that fully kind of like you're in LinkedIn or whatever, and you're not using a wallet and somebody else is holding that. So that could somebody share the app again? I'm just very curious because let me stop sharing my screen. I thought MetaMask came up in the app. And so the reason why I want to just kind of talk about that just briefly, if you want to talk about collectives, because it's really important how this both the security tie, trust. So the collectives are built on shared common value. The value ideally is you're going to hear the word, and I say it all the time, hyperlocal, right? So the hyperlocal value. So the hyperlocal value is there. What that value is, it could be like, I like to collect certain types of drink umbrellas or something. It could be crazy or whatever. It's anything that's out there. And in this case, your collective is alumni and students and those interactions, right? And what that value then is, it doesn't have to be money, right? And it can be tokenized. That's the really important thing though. So an ERC20 level token could track, and I think this is where Artem was going a little bit with some of the back-end parts with Solidity and other things on the actual Rinkeby chain. But you can track with a token, and then you could apply a smart contract, whatever kind, or bundled, whatever kind of contract it is, that then tracks that value. And so the really interesting thing is when we talk about collectives, it's really about, if you take a look at Facebook, that would be custodial, right? Now, imagine you could have that level of interaction in that graph of people together with that are built on trust, where you are the one that owns the trust. That's it. And then Lehigh is part of that trust, right? And so when I talked about the Go chain and those other things, part of those chains are built on reputation and trust, right? And then there's other levels of consensus out there. But the idea here is if you remove all the tech and you can create just a meetup space even, how do you take that into the from Web 2 to Web 3? That's what you guys are kind of exploring, maybe not even realizing it totally. But when if you get the ethos and a little bit of this, it's hard to do, I'm losing words on Friday, but just you're intuitively going in the direction you should be anyway. At least that's what I'm seeing. And like I said, I am on the IACT Council for Blockchain. I'm talking with chief lobbyists and talking with all these people, and like, what the heck is happening with crypto in this crypto winter, right? So if you take away the fact that, okay, how does crypto, and this is something you should probably be thinking about, like, all right, everyone's totally down on crypto. Should I divest everything I've ever bought in cryptocurrency, et cetera? Well, if we look at what Web3 is, it's nothing about that. It's about that value that we're trying to bring. So I hope that helps. I'll stop there because I could keep going on. I have to do this every day and talk a lot. But does that make sense? Does that help a little bit? And so and none of this is set in stone really. So the Web3, the original Web3 was Tim Berners-Lee saying semantic web. Semantic web was a way to create nodes and links of, if you look up what an ontology is from a computer science perspective, into taxonomies of value, right? And that really was hard. People didn't like RDF and big XML, and it never went anywhere. So when Gavin Wood came out and said Web3 is now crypto, people kind of forgot the old thing that was like 10, 12 years ago was semantic web. And now we're calling this value, this stuff, this chain of tech, Web3, but it's the same thing. Like, so what Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the web, World Wide Web, was trying to do to what Gavin Wood talked about, even though they weren't in cahoots and talking, it's still like exactly where you guys are going. Everybody's in this same path of like, what's Web3? Well, it's going to be collective value, hyperlocal. So
what you're saying is what the guy Ted Berners, what was his name again?
Yeah, so Tim Berners-Lee. Yeah,
Tim
Berners-Lee. Yeah, he invented the World Wide Web.
His vision of the World Wide
1993.
Web in the 90s is where we are right now with Web3.
It's as far as we've gotten. So he really tried, and I tried, and my background is in semantic web, large scale government projects, as well as some other things in healthcare, such that it's really neat to see. If you went to, just to give you a real example of that's out there running, the Ohio Data Platform, the back end is actually all Web3, what I'm talking about. Nobody knows it, right? So how do they do certain things? Well, there's all sorts of neat stuff in the background. The Web3 part is not the crypto piece, it's the semantic piece. And the semantic piece lends itself into what is the collectives that I just showed on that screen. But how do we apply it today? The login, the trust, and all those pieces, and then that hyperlocal value, or just whatever that value is in that network, that's Web3 today. So that the web page that who was showing, was it Samantha, who was showing the web page, that's really important, because how that plays into what the value is, like that's where the value is going to come from. And then what Artem and team are doing, it's like, you better keep it secure, but how do I link my tokenization and my privacy and my value chain that I want to extend into whatever I'm doing? How do I carry that forward?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, thank you for the compliments. You saying that we're intuitively going in this direction that we didn't even realize we were going. So thank you for that. But you've given us, at least you've given me, thanks for sharing all that. That was super interesting. You've given me a lot to think about, and you've kind of opened, you've given me, even though I already had faith in this project, you've given me more faith to think about what it could be. I liked the way you put it about collective value and not necessarily being just for financing through crypto.
Well, think of green tokens. And so there's a guy, Silvio, and I actually post his link in the Discord channel, and you guys can share it around. But I'm speaking directly with him, and he's out there doing what, and he went to, I think,